Alright, so we're in the teepee, and I'm going to go ahead and get this stove set up by LiteOutdoors. This is the end caps and clips and everything, and then this is your stovepipe and actual stove. This is a titanium cylinder stove, and comes in these nice stuff sacks. The only comment I'd have about these stuff sacks is I'd put a cord lock on them. They don't have a cord lock, and this can come open pretty easily, so I know these are new to the company, and definitely would recommend putting a cord lock on there. So I'm going to try to film putting this thing together. It's fairly easy. The stovepipe is the hardest part, especially before you've done a burn-in. So I'm going to go ahead and try to film that for you guys. Alright guys, so this is the LiteOutdoors titanium cylinder stove. It is made up of titanium and stainless, so it's very lightweight. It only weighs 2 pounds 7 ounces. So with the teepee and the carbon fiber pole, you're looking at about 7 pounds total there for a shelter that's going to produce you heat in the wintertime. And I can tell you that it's already pretty warm inside this shelter just by me being in here, and it's still 0 degrees outside with a pretty heavy wind chill. So this is the 18-inch long stove, 8 inches in diameter, and then it's got an 8.5-foot stovepipe. The stovepipe does have a damper in it. I'll show you all that as we get it set up. No tools required to set this up, so let's go ahead and have at it. So the first thing I'm going to pull out here is going to be our end caps. This is your first end cap here. This is the one with the door and the adjustable intake here, and then it's got these clips on it that we're going to use to build the body of the stove. So we're going to set that aside. The other is the back plate. Pretty similar setup there. And then you have these large, I believe this is aircraft cable or stainless cable for the actual stove body itself. Then we just have the adjustable legs here, which we're actually going to go ahead and screw into the plates. These are just threaded rod, so they just thread right into the plate here, and then of course that makes it somewhat adjustable if you have uneven ground, because you do want to get this stove as level as you can get it. So those two are in. Let's put the other two in here, and they just screw right in. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead and pull out the actual stove part. Now you want to be very careful. This is very sharp. You can cut yourself. But basically what you get in here is the actual body of the stove and the stove pipe itself. And I am going to throw some cut-resistant gloves on here to do this part, because it can get kind of sharp. Alright, and then go ahead and pull the body of the stove out and the stovepipe, which we will assemble in a minute here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take our stove body and put it onto one of the end plates. I obviously want my stovepipe opening in the back, and a good tip that you can do is take the part that was folded on the inside, because it'll just want to fold back up on you. And this will retain its shape a lot better once you get it burned in, but I take that and put it on the outside, and then you just line up. There's holes here in the bottom that you can line up that will go into the feet of the stove there. And then once we have that part connected, I'm going to go ahead and throw these rings around here, and then throw our back section on. Same thing, it's got these grooves here that will line up, and then I'm going to go ahead and place these clips on. Now these are just turnbuckles, so really once you get these on, you're in pretty good shape. So there's one, and you don't want to tighten these down all the way, but I am going to tighten them just enough so that they don't slip out. Alright, so once you've got them somewhat snugged up, your stove is pretty much complete at that point. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stretch these cables across here. Now you'll get some dings and dents and stuff like this in this stove. You know, the whole point is that it's a lightweight and very portable way to create heat in your shelter. So it's okay if it gets some dings and dents. You know, it's not built to be the most durable thing in the world, but it's built to be very lightweight and very easy to assemble in the field, that we've just like we've done there. So then we can just take and we can tighten up our turnbuckles even more. You don't want to over tighten them, just get them tight enough so they're secure there. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and get this bottom one. And your stove is complete, and you can see how lightweight this is. I mean, there's just no weight at all to it. On the front there you have a latching door, and then we have our airflow adjustment there. Now the stovepipe comes to you like this, but we need it to go the other way. So you actually have to unroll this whole thing and then fold it lengthwise, and you use a bunch of these little cables to hold that. So I'm going to take it outside the teepee to get that done, and then we'll come back once that's completed. Alright, so here's our 8.5 foot pole fully assembled. You basically just roll it over lengthwise. It is a little bit difficult to do, especially by yourself the first time, but I'm told once it's burned in it will retain its shape a lot better and be easier in the future. But it definitely wasn't very hard, and it's 0 degrees out, so we'll go ahead and get that set up in the teepee. Now it's got a few holes on the bottom here for the damper, so you want to put that on the bottom. Alright guys, so there's the top of the stovepipe. Alright, so before we do anything else, let's look at our temperature here. It looks like it's about 11 degrees. We just basically lift this up, and we're going to set this right in. To our opening, just like that. So here's a look at the inside of the tent with the carbon fiber pole and stovepipe. And then a look at the stove. Alright guys, well it has gotten really windy and cold out. I think it's still around the 0 degree mark, but it's about 20 degrees in here, 25 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and do the initial burn in on this wood stove. Now one thing about this wood stove is that the opening, you know, won't fit a huge amount of wood. I mean, it'll fit about this size log, which is a pretty good size log. So I've got some firewood over here, and I'm gonna have to probably split most of it down into about this size, which is fine. Pretty easy to do. I've already split a bunch of it. So I'm gonna use some birch bark here and some little twigs and stuff that I gathered up to get this going. Now I also installed the damper here. I'll give you a closer look once it gets going, but basically what the damper allows you to do is it allows you to, once you get it going, it allows you to, you know, once you get a good coal bed going, it allows you to keep some of the heat in the stove so that it stays in the tent longer. I'm just going to rough up a little bit of that birch bark there. Want that to go out the chimney, not in here. It'll take it a minute to probably heat up that pipe. So I don't necessarily want a really hot fire. I'm just going to get it going, you know, enough to keep it going basically, and then I'll play around with the damper and the air vents to kind of control the heat that way. Alright, well, got it going really good now, probably more than I wanted to. You can see it's bluing up really well. That bluing's making its way up the stovepipe there, and I can already tell you it's almost hot in here. So I can already see that it's going to be very efficient, and you know, I've got probably three or four wood pieces in there about this size, and I'm going to have to slow that burn down just a little bit because I don't want it to heat up too fast and warp it or anything. And I can already tell you that it's plenty hot in here. Well guys, it's been about half an hour and it's already nice and toasty in here. It's like 65 degrees and it keeps on going up. Wood stove is working really good. It's getting all that bluing on that titanium, which is awesome. Working its way up the stovepipe there. So far I have the damper left wide open and have the vent wide open. I'm going to shut it just a little bit just to slow down the burn just a little bit more. But burning really nicely. You can see that there's no smoke coming out. It's all going up the chimney, which it did come out at first, obviously, when it was, you know, heating up the pipe, just like it would in your fireplace when you're heating up the flue. But so far so good. Really impressed with this setup so far. And outside it is still 4 degrees out and snowing with a 23-mile-an-hour wind. And it's burning really hot now, but I do want to get some coals in there, and then again you can just shut the vent there a little bit more. It's getting pretty hot, so you just want to do it with like a stick or something. I can shut that vent a little bit more and slow down the burn. Alright guys, so it's been about another 5 minutes and it didn't take long, and even in 0-degree temperatures outside it is closing in on 80 in here. Now this is hung higher up in the tent, so what I'll probably do is just move this down a little bit lower, and it's nice that it's got these grommets everywhere. Alright guys, so I've been in here a couple hours now, and the stove and tent is working beautifully. I'm getting used to you know, how to control the damper and the air vents, but seems to be burning pretty efficiently, and it's definitely burning in very nicely. You can see the steam there coming off my gloves. I've got them just set right next to the stove there to dry off. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video on the LiteOutdoors titanium cylinder stove. it is working beautifully and really easy to control. And so I'm going to sit out here, you know, a couple more hours. I'll probably do an overnight as well, and I'll bring those videos to you if I do them. But definitely got it burned in nicely, and really happy with it. It goes great with a shelter such as a teepee, and you know, being such lightweight, you can carry the teepee and the stove, you know, right in your pack with you, along with all your bug out stuff and all your you know, sleep system and everything for the winter. So definitely an awesome combo. I'm going to leave some links below to their website where you guys can check out their stoves. And please give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you guys subscribe for more videos.